Dámy a pánové, dobrý den, vítejte na tisku.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome at the press conference to introduce priority and visuals on the Czech Presidency of European Commission. I would like to ask Mr. Petr Fiala, Prime Minister. It is already 18 years since the Czech Republic joined the European Union and began a new chapter in its democratic economic development. On the 1st of July, we will assume our historic second presidency of the Council of the European Union. With a little exaggeration, we can therefore call it a test of maturity, a test that will not be easy in any case. Europe, and with it, the whole world is undergoing a fundamental change since the Russian invasion of Ukraine had shaken all our certainties, many of them, has exposed the weakness of Europe's security architecture, which we will have to approach in a new and, above all, active way, not just an observer relying on others. Russian aggression has caused also the largest intra-European refugee wave since the Second World War, which we are obliged to handle with honor, and not only because Ukrainians are fighting for us and our freedom. Russian invasion on Ukraine also devastates a country that is guilty of nothing more than wanting to freely and sovereignly choose where it belongs. We must therefore put maximum effort into Ukraine's post-war reconstruction and help it on its way to the EU. Russian aggression has also disrupted the fundamental pillars of our economy, energy security, supply chains, at times when we have barely begun to breathe after the COVID-19 pandemic. Therefore, it is putting especially the most vulnerable among us to a cruel test. It is therefore our fundamental duty to ensure Europe's strategic resilience in all these areas so that, for example, food security for citizens remains a certainty, as it does the availability of strategic material and products such as medicines. The war has also revealed how vulnerable our society can be if we do not strengthen the resilience of our democratic institutions, particularly against external threats. We can say that the world will not be the same after the Russian aggression in Ukraine. We want to play an active part in what it will be because we have a unique chance and opportunity to write the future of Europe. Our role will be different from the first presidency, which took place before the Lisbon Treaty entered into force. Some of the mechanisms of the EU have changed, and of course we are aware of that. The European Council has a permanent president and a high representative for foreign affairs and security policy, with whom we already cooperate closely. However, our role in leading the work of the individual ministerial councils will be crucial. We are also aware of that. The Czech Presidency will primarily be tasked with achieving consensus and European unity in key areas, since it is so important. As in 2009, the Czech Republic will also take the helm of the European Union in a difficult times. In a situation where war has been raging on the doorstep of the Union for almost a quarter of a year, our unique historical experience with the Russian occupation has taught us that we can face difficult moments, help each other, stand for what is right. Therefore, after 3 years of preparation, we will undertake this task with confidence and at the same time with the knowledge of responsibility for the result. For the reasons I have just described and with respect to the situation around us, following the Russian aggression on Ukraine, we will focus on the following 5 priorities of our presidency: coping with the refugee crisis and Ukraine's post-war reconstruction, energy security, strengthening European defence capabilities and cyberspace security, strategic resilience of the European economy, and resilience of democratic institutions. All these pillars encompass the long-term strategic interests and priorities of the Czech Republic, values that the Czech Republic is standing for a long time, is proud of it, and those values will be reflected in priorities of the Czech presidencies. Together with our European partners, we will strive to be stronger together during our 6 months at the helm of the EU and to use this strength to benefit those who need it. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. I would like to ask the Minister for European Affairs, Mikuláš Bek.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let me to follow up on the Prime Minister by detailing the priorities and the entire document that's been published today in English, Czech English, French and German version. The priority document has 2 parts. The first part is more brief. It's dedicated to political priorities of this government, and it focuses on the 5 topics mentioned by the Prime Minister. I'm going to talk about them in more detail. These are the topics that are across many areas of European policies. The second part of the document is much more technical. It is structured according to the different formations of the Council, and it allows us to look into which legislative proposals the Czech Presidency is going to focus on the most. The motto of the Czech Presidency is Europe as a task, was inspired by the speech of Václav Havel from 1996 in Aachen. This speech was kind of an invitation to reflect on the deep changes that the world has undergone, Europe, and at the time it was reflecting on changes in the 90s. It was a contemplation about the role of Europe in the world that has changed. Havel brings a certain variation to a famous sentence from a philosophy of law that says that the owl Minervina starts its flight at the dawn. So only once the events have happened, only when we look back we can see it. So he thought that in the 19th we had time for a deep reflection. That's a similarity, yet difference from today's. We are facing a similarly deep change of the world that was at the beginning of the 90s. The fact that countries such as Sweden are changing their perspective of their political perspective, leaving neutrality, or Finland after decades, the Germany is increasing defense costs, are just symptoms of such a deep change of European politics that has changed and is happening as a result of the Russian aggression. The motto is inspiration to a similar deep contemplation of the new situation, with the massive difference being that we do not have time. We need to think and act very swiftly. The motto has its original in English, Europe as a task, and then there is a double dot and 3 things: rethink, rebuild, and repower. We did not translate these 3 words in the Czech version of the slogan, and those who remember the last presidency remember the issues that with translation. So a Czech joke is not easy to translate into English. That's why we stemmed from English version, because the primary audience for the document is European unity and the 27 member states. That's why the English version has a certain priority, certain preference. These words, of course, can be translated, but the translation will never be exact. Rethink means to think again. Rebuild means to reconstruct, build again. And all these words have more meanings, because reconstruction, the rebuilding of Europe, is meant both in a physical sense of the word, as the new situation requires not just a green transition, but also rebuilding all of the energy and networks, a massive impact will be needed in Ukraine after the war. So that's the physical aspect of the word rebuild. But at the same time, it encompasses the endeavor for changes of the European institutions, their powers. That's a debate open to debate. And the Czech Presidency is aware of the fact that it's going to be the moderator, the host of the next conference. And the last word, repower, has again more meanings because it relates to the key proposal of the European Commission in the area of energy. And it's been published recently, and it means the recharge with energy. And of course, this word also means empowerment of the European Union in the military sense of the word, as well as in the international, from the international point of view. These three words should focus the debate on the key topics. It's not a directive where to go, but it's a signal that the Czech Presidency is aware of the responsibility for the agendas that are tabled. And if I may use a musical metaphor, the presidency country is not a composer of a particular piece that's being played in the next half a year. It's more of a conductor of the orchestra that's playing. We may sometimes be able to set the tempo, set the pace. The ministers have the bell to structure the discussion. But in the debate, we can perhaps emphasize some vote. Maybe another vote can be less preferred. But this piece is composed by many actors. And, of course, it's part of the legislative process of the European Union. So the motto is supposed to focus the concentration on the key topics, key areas. But the presiding country, its task is not to set explicit objectives where the discussions should be directed to. We're just the guardians of compromise. Of course, we do not resign on our national interests, but we need to defend them indirectly in alliance with other membership countries. And as the host of the discussion, we're responsible for finding the consensus. The 5 priority areas that the Prime Minister mentioned, they, of course, reflect the legislative proposal, or some of them. So undoubtedly, under this priority of managing the refugee crisis and restoration of Ukraine, we're going to be the host of the debate about a greater flexibility in using the European budget, which is an essential topic for us, because both on the side of Ukraine and the member countries, there are new needs emerging, and we're going to strive to revise some legislative norms that regulate utilization of the European budget. In the area of energy security, our focus is going to be on the Power EU package that opens a path to joint purchase of gas using joint European resources to complete the energetic system. In the area of defense capacities, we're going to be in charge of the implementation of the strategic compass, which is an essential strategic document adopted recently. In the area of economy resilience, we are sending a clear signal that the Czech Republic is in the long term an advocate of openness, of business relationship with third countries that have similar values to us. From the Czech Presidency and the Swedish Presidency that's coming after us, we are expected to continue with the negotiation with some countries such as New Zealand, Australia, Mexico, Latin America, because it is clear that the loss of opportunities in Russia needs to be balanced by opening new opportunities in other parts of the world. And this priority also covers activities such as seeking seeking other sources for the European industry, or is going to be a part of our agenda, the so-called Act on Chips that should return sophisticated production in this area to Europe, and also many other topics in the area of digital agenda are part of it. The last area covers a whole range of activities. The European Commission is planning publishing a proposal about plurality of media. We expect it to be one of the key proposals, and we're going to be a host of a debate about a legal state. That's where we want to be objective hosts that welcome de-escalation in some relationships that have been a burden on the European agenda in the recently, and we're also going to be raising other topics that have not been so heated, such as the war crimes and sanction mechanisms amongst European Union member states. That's a major discussion about the legal state. These are the main priority areas, and I think it's important to mention that the framework for the entire contemplation is the elementary direction of the European policy up until the beginning of the war in Ukraine. The European political discussion was around two axes, which was green and digital transition. That's still applicable, but then now we have a third dimension that is represented by security, and it is quite clear that the entire debate has shifted to a more sober tone, as we are witnesses of certain changes in opinion that correspond in many areas with the attitudes and opinions of the Czech government. The binding objectives of the climate policy, but there is a debate, more open debate about flexibility of these directions in the upcoming period, and we believe that we will be able to moderate such a discussion and achieve a significant move forward, and the French presidency that's still active in recent weeks.
Thank you very much. Now I would like to ask the head of the government, Jana Kotalíková. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my duty, nice duty, to introduce an official logo of the Czech Presidency of the Council of the European Union. Thank you very much. Allow me to share with you a couple of technical information on the logo we just introduced. The logo, together with the overall visual style of the presidency, was prepared by the Dark Side Studio for the Office of the Government for the Czech Presidency. Our visual identity is based on the logo of the first presidency in 2009 and thus seeks continuity but also looks to the future. It shows a rosette of 27 elements symbolizing each EU member state, and each element then reflects the colors of the flag of the particular country. Those are different countries, but unified also. We can say that it's unified in diversity. Exactly with this feature of the EU, our logo is working with. The shape of the element also represents a stylized form of a compass needle, and it refers again to the additional motif of the first presidency logo, namely the map of the EU composed of the abbreviation of its countries. The needles replace the two-letter abbreviation for the presidency logo. Last but not least, our logo simply shows strength of the uniqueness of the Czech Republic, which has the triangle in its flag, and therefore the individual needles of the logo's rosettes are composed of these wedges. The logo also wish to represent Czech Presidency at home and abroad. You can see it on the picture today, together with the Czech Post, the unique stamp of 400,000 pieces will be published today by the Czech Post. We are so pleased that we could, together with the Czech Post, build on the tradition of the Czech Republic and to publish own stamp. The art work was designed by Filip Hajduk, and it will cost 39 crowns. Part of the Czech Presidency, of course, are promotional items. One of those will be received by the delegates coming to the Czech Republic. For instance, a postcard. It was designed by Daniela Němčoková, a young lady from Znojmo. She won the first place with her work in a national art competition called In the European Union We Are at Home. Her picture represents exactly what the Union represents for the Czech Republic: mutual cooperation, trust, peace, and above all, hope for the better future. Delegates will receive this postcard alongside with the presidency stamp. The top officials will also receive a cut glass, and we would like to promote the Czech glassmaking tradition and quality design. These two aspects are combined in the collection called Europe, which was specially designed by the Czech Presidency by renowned designer Ronny Plesl. Also, in this case, we are maintaining continuity. Ronny Plesl also proposed design part of the protocol gifts for the Czech Presidency. Let me mention key activities of the Czech Presidency tomorrow. The meeting of the members of the government will be organized in Liechtenstein Palace on the 30th of June. Video mapping will be promoted on the Czech National Museum together with the illumination of the national buildings. On the 1st of July, a visit of the European Commission delegation is organized in Litomyšl, where negotiation will be done. Then we will open the presidency by a concert in Rudolfinum Concert Hall on the 2nd of September. We will just play also for the public, followed by a concert in Brussels. And in the second half of December, we will organize closing events. In addition to that, there will be 14 councils, one informal summit, and altogether 320 events from top activities up to work task groups meetings. Ladies and gentlemen, there were basic information of technical nature. Allow me to introduce you an official video of the Czech Presidency that will be promoted as from today on Czech television screen. 30 seconds and 90 seconds spot for foreign viewers. Thank you very much for your attention.
Today, more than ever before, we should not forget our roots and history. What unites us, strengthens us, and drives us forward. When not to dodge, and when to stand up for what is right. In 2022, the Czech Republic holds the presidency of the European Union. We are writing the future of Europe now.
Not forget what we have had to overcome throughout history. We must not forget the valuable lessons we have learned. We must not forget why we forged our alliance. What made us stronger? What we have learned. That alliances are made by people. We need to remember that appeasement does not create peace. For peace, we need to be ready to stand together. Democracy is delicate. It needs to be actively protected and fostered. Only then can justice prevail, and the European community can prosper. In challenging times, the Czech historic experience brings a unique perspective that is so important for our focus going forward. In 2022, the Czech Republic holds the presidency of the European Union. Now is the time to write the future of Europe. Let's find our path together.
Děkuji. Nyní je prostor pro dotazy. Já poprosím vzhledem k...
So since we are at a press conference, please stick to the topic as much as we can. Petr Vašek, Czech TV. Petr Vašek, Czech television. I would like to ask 3 questions for Prime Minister. Specific question on the first priority of EU, coping with the refugee crisis and Ukraine post-war reconstruction. The refugee crisis cannot be handled without special funds, and you wanted to get some special funds that are facing the highest burden with respect to refugees, together with Poland and other countries. Second question relates to the post-war reconstruction of Ukraine. It implies that in the second half of the year the war should be over. What then the European Union will do specifically in order to terminate the war, and under which conditions? I know it's a difficult question. And then the other military assistance, Mrs. Černochová, the minister, had decided that today the government should decide on the additional assistance. If so, can you inform us how much it will be assigned and so on? I will start with the third question. Czech Republic, in fact, belongs to those countries that help Ukraine from the very beginning in the humanitarian matters and also by receiving refugees and so on. And we are also delivering military material. We have continuity in this strategy today at the government. We have negotiated further assistance to Ukraine. Nevertheless, it was in the confidential, classified regime, and we will simply publish later how much we help Ukraine. But with respect to security, also I would like to ask you for a patience. We have to be very careful, especially with respect of the security issues. Funding a refugee crisis, it's a big topic. We are truly facing the biggest refugee crisis in post-war Europe and the biggest movement of Czech Republic. Czech Republic belongs to most hit countries. Per capita, we have received 360 refugees already, and since we are one of the target countries, really there is a burden for social and health system. I would like to express my thanks to everybody who is helping, not only government, but also municipalities, NGOs, non-profit organizations, and citizens we have handled. But as other countries, we would need assistance as a solidarity signal. The flexibility in approved financial tools and programs is being approved now, which is one of the ways how to get funds that would help quickly. What we have to do and what we would like to open and what we are also discussing with the other countries that are either also hit by the refugees crisis or where I just negotiate with statements of the other European countries is to move forward, to receive more funds, to create a new tool that would help those countries also in a long-term aspect, speaking about the amount of the assistance and how much we are able to achieve. It will be subject to further negotiation, but still this has to be one of the focus of our presidency. Europe has to maintain a social peace and stability, and imagining that several percentage of its population arrived to those countries in few weeks, really it is a big burden on those countries. And the last question, it's really complex. We would be pleased to organize a summit on the post-war reconstruction with Ukraine, with a Marshall Plan for Ukraine, with the presence of the Ukrainian President, Mr. Zelensky. Nevertheless, it is conditioned by a peace in Ukraine. Unless having peace in Ukraine, of course, it makes sense to discuss it, but in different form. We all wish that the war in Ukraine is over as soon as possible. We all wish that in autumn we would be able to organize a summit like that in Prague. Nevertheless, those conditions do not depend on the Czech Republic only and on our presidency. What we have to do, however, in order to terminate the war in Ukraine, it's clear. We need to push Russia and keep pushing Russia. We, as Europe, need to be united. We have to continue supporting Ukraine, and we have to try to suppress aggressive plan of Vladimir Putin, to make him recognize that this is not a way to go forward and get ready to be back at the negotiation table, and recognizing that the Ukraine will win in the just fair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ondřej Houska, Hospodářské noviny. Good afternoon, dear Prime Minister Václav Havel. Europe as a task in his speech spoke about the necessity of federalization of Europe. I don't know if the party ODS has changed its attitude that EU should become a federation. So how would you explain this choice? I don't know if the content corresponds with why you chose this motto, if you can explain it. And Minister Bek, you said that you welcome de-escalation in some relationships. You probably spoke about unblocking the recovery plan for Poland when you called it de-escalation. According to the Czech Republic, our dealings with Poland, according to the Article 7, should be stopped. When you said that the war started in 1938, you might be able to correct it before it gets published. Europe as a task is a good motto, and it's undoubtedly an expression of truth. A joint Europe and its building and creation of, and its good look that works for the development of the individual nations is our task, and I believe that any sensible person cannot doubt this at the times when we can see how our security, our independence, our freedom, our democracy, how fragile these values are. That we need to intensively defend them against aggressors, against those who try to challenge it. Democracy is an everyday task. Fighting for freedom is an everyday task. Every single one of us need to strive to maintain freedom and maintain democracy. And Europe is a task as well. And we want to hold this debate about how Europe should develop in the future, how it should empower itself, how it should secure itself, how it should secure its energies, how it should ensure that it should be as part of the world within the current situation, for it to be a space for its citizens that brings security and certainty. And that's something that we all have in common. And as far, if we talk about narrowing this debate down to whether Europe should be more of a federation or less, then we would do something that's neither right nor correct. Those who want Europe closely Europe of closely cooperating nations are no lesser Europeans than those that believe that Europe should be more federalized. This debate has been in Europe since the very beginning, or since the beginning of the European integration. This debate has been very intense. It has different forms. It's legitimate, but it doesn't mean that those who want federation are better Europeans than those who recommend a different way of how to proceed with the integration processes. Now we are standing we're facing different questions. Today's debate about how the EU should reform, which direction it should take after all the different collisions with the ideas about the European Union treaty, with the issues of continuation of the integration process after the exit or Brexit. Now we're facing a threat. We're facing issues with securing energies and massive challenges that we all want to focus on. Yes, Europe is a task. It is a task for all of us. And it is, of course, a task for the Czech Presidency.
If I may, I would like to build on it quickly. I think applying to the basic feature of the article does not mean that we will just copy and paste the article word by word. We are also promoting a book or chapter that includes a lot of statements that probably is not acceptable for everyone. So I would say that in some of the statements of the article we will find different issues, and that's about the basic philosophy of the change. Speaking about the rule of law, I really have experienced different trajectory between Poland and Hungary. Poland, and of course different political players will have different opinions. Nevertheless, there were steps made that moved the discussion to more tranquil, peaceful waters. I had the chance to preside at Council for General Matters when the hearing was organized in Hungary, and in fact it was about monologues only. Mrs. Pinku had said that the change was in non-shouting ministers. Speaking about Poland, the discussion will definitely continue, and our task in the presidency will not be to play a role of a judge or a policeman. They are, in fact, the initiators of the hearing done by the European Commission or European Parliament. I think speaking about Hungary, it is probably more specific, the proceedings on conditionality. It is probably slightly different opposed to Poland. And it is about the question when the Czech presidency may be forced to organize voting on application of this statement. Nevertheless, there will be several rounds of discussion between Poland and Hungary, so we have not built our opinion yet, since the basics, cornerstones of the discussion will be corrected further. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Other question? Czech television, Aneta Zachová, Euractiv, not Czech television. I have a question. In the document, it says that you are going to strive for continuation in the area of nuclear energy in the EU, and I wonder if it is, according to you, too much of a sensitive topic for the stakeholders, that it might cause certain unhappiness in the countries that are anti-nuclear. Of course, the way of development of nuclear energy, not all the countries are heading in this direction, but there are many countries in the EU, which the Czech Republic is one of them, and it's not by far alone. Countries that need nuclear power as part of the energetic mix, and we try to explain it to those countries that do not count on nuclear energy. I see it as our great success. We're not alone in this. One of the big countries that develop nuclear energy is, for example, France. We managed to include in key documents the sentences about that each country has the right to compile its energy mix according to their needs and requirements. And in the original proposal, nuclear energy is stated as one of the supported resources. I think it's very important, and I think it's even more important that we as Europeans have decided to set an objective that by 2027 we're going to be completely independent of Russian fossil energies. To be able to reach this objective, for many countries, the only possibility is to develop nuclear energy. And we're going to strive for that the nuclear energy is amongst the supported energies next to the renewable energies, where nuclear energy is also a clean energy, and for it to be a part of the energetic mix. We have many allies in this area. It is in interest of many countries, and we need to go in this direction. For example, the discussion that's been taking place at the recent European councils, I think this is very useful. We need to realize the differences between the energy mixes. The differences are massive, and they stem from A, historical development, and B, also from natural conditions. And there are countries for which it is easy to switch to renewable energies because they have, for example, more days of sunshine. They have stronger rivers. They have a seashore where they can use wind power. There are countries that do not have these conditions, and they have different conditions, and they develop nuclear energy. So I want to be afraid or concerned about this debate. This debate is ongoing. It's important. It's essential for the future of Europe, and I am convinced that the nuclear energy definitely belongs amongst the sources that Europe should focus on in the future. Česká televize, I would like to ask about the informal summit that should take place in autumn. Do you know already whether other countries outside the EU are going to participate on it, and if so, which ones? And I would like to ask about the characters that you used. Was it supposed to invoke the Ukrainian language, or does it have any other aesthetic reason? As far as the summit is concerned, firstly, also with regards to what I said, that the contents of it should be the discussions should be taking place, and we will see, looking at the situation, and before we decide what the format of the summit is going to be exactly. And I would like to mention, I spoke about it at the beginning, I would just like to remind the Czech audience that now we are in a slightly different situation than we were during the first presidency, where the Lisbon Treaty was not yet in force. So a very important word when we were summoning the summit, and the word what the final form of it should be, the last word goes to Charles Michel, the President of the European Council. So in agreement with him, we need to proceed because that's how the internal organization of the EU, that's what it looks like right now.
Speaking about the logo, is it a coincidence that the logo was made last year, and we had to keep it in secrecy with respect to previous presidency? Nevertheless, the sharp letters, it's just a coincidence which is part of the visuals. I don't see further questions, so I would like to close our press conference. Thank you very much for the attention. See you later.